Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to everyone to today's office hours. And joining us today is Jean Joe. And Jean Joe, the broker, Jean Joe, the listing agent, Jean Joe, the chairperson of MLS Listings. There are a lot of hats worn over there in the Jean Joe world. And we were talking about Parison, right?
Yes,
Like Harrison, but with a P.
exactly.
That's the name of your brokerage. I did a little lookup. Parison comes from a Greek word that means abundant. Uh, and so we've got an abundance of things to talk about today. That's my transition. But Gene, why don't you're up in San Mateo County,
Yes,
right? That's your, I imagine, your home as well as where your business is located. So for the
yes.
other four counties, who is Jean Joe? Can you give us a sort of a quick bio?
Sure. So, hi everyone, and this is kind of new for me to be a panelist because I'm usually on the hosting side of things, but not haven't been where all of a sudden everybody pops in. So that's been pretty cool. So my name is Jean Joe, as Mark mentioned, and I am the broker and owner of Parison Real Estate, which does come from the Greek word for abundance. It's not because I have a lot to talk about; it's because I wanted to really base my brokerage on the principle of abundance and this idea that we do live with enough, that there is enough out there for us. And so we need to help each other to thrive, that we want to really have win-win situations. So I did just a little brief introduction for myself. I actually did not come from a real estate or sales background. I studied biochemistry at Cal,
Oh,
and yeah, and was in biopharmaceuticals for a little while before I had our two daughters. And so once I was ready, so I stopped working for a little bit. Once I was ready to get back into the workforce, uh, biotech was going to be a little difficult. So I started in real estate in 2008. If that sounds like a interesting year for anybody in real
yeah,
estate, that's
wow,
our
that was
last great recession. Yeah, great time to start. So I started at Prudential Realty in San Bruno. And then I started my own brokerage in 2016. That's Paris Real Estate, and I'm based in Millbrae. I also live in Millbrae. So I am part of Samcar, and I've been the head of professional development at Samcar as well. And so I am very interested in education, communications, helping us to be able to all improve. And I was honored to be Realtor of the Year in 2022 for Samcar as well. I joined MLS Listings in 2021. I got started because, as if you recall, not because of the pandemic, but because of in 2020, the other thing that came about was our NAR Clear Cooperation Policy. And so with that became, there were a lot of discussions about coming soon and how to handle that. And at that time, if you remember, for those I think a lot of you were probably around back then, coming soon in MLS was just a static list that was there. You couldn't search it. There wasn't much that you can do with it. And so I and a group of my other colleagues were interested in that aspect of it. And then I started getting interested in MLS, all things MLS. So I joined in 2021. I was asked to join on the finance committee starting 2022, and then was the finance chair for 2 years, and then was asked to be the chair this year. So that's hopefully a brief enough bio of where I'm coming from.
yeah, yeah. I do have to ask the question. Bio, what, again,
Biochemistry?
biochemistry, right?
Hmm.
You come out of it, you have your two children, and then you're just sitting around one night thinking about career choices and said
Yep.
real estate. Or
Yep.
did you
That's
have a
kind of
friend?
what it was.
Okay.
It was one of those, I think well, I can't go back to a full-time job. Science had changed so much, and I'd been out of the science industry for 12 years. Things that I had specialized in when I was working were things that my children were now learning in high school.
Oh boy.
So,
Okay.
advanced in college at that time, and then now so that's how much it had changed. And I just wasn't really looking at another full-time job because I still had them with me. So I thought, well, like I think there are other people who do that as well. It's like, well, I like houses. I like people. Why don't I give it a try?
Right.
And thankfully, it stuck for me. I think the biggest thing is that it's really I do get energized about real estate because I feel like it touches so many parts of each person's life. As everybody here, I'm sure feels that we touch so many aspects of our clients' lives, and to be able to see, I've had clients that I help them buy their first home as a couple, and then the next one because they're having children, and then now they have to get ready for school. And been on the other side of it where I'm helping people with the sale of their parents' homes
Wow.
and whatnot. And so just kind of knowing that you're part of that, I think that has been, like I said, I didn't have a real estate background. I don't have a sales background, but for me, it's really been about being able to serve. And I really feel privileged to be able to do that on MLS as well. So
Cool.
I met a
One of the
lot of great
ways,
people too.
yeah. One of the things under the title of serving, um, I hear you're a librarian now.
Oh,
You've got your own library. I thought that
I've
was
got my
cool.
own library. No, I just launched a little library at Samcar. So it's one bookshelf right in the front. And so it's because I'm part of professional development, I would
Right?
actually recommend books to people. And I had at one of our events, somebody came up to me and said, "Do you have an extra copy of that book? Because I it's hard for me to buy, etc." So I'm like, okay. And then that got me thinking. I always, when I was little, wanted to be a librarian when I was in like
Did you?
elementary school. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I was like, maybe we could do that. So it's very low key. If anybody at the other associations is interested and
That's
wants
what
to
I
know
was
more,
thinking.
I'm totally happy to share that with you. It's very low key. We just started out. We have 3 shelves worth of books, all
Okay.
donated by other realtors, and the qualification for that, the criteria is real estate or professional personal development
Okay.
related, and it has to be a book that you actually like, but that you might not read again. So you want to share that with somebody else, and
Right.
don't expect it back. So
Uh,
that's kind of how we've set it up, and it just launched last week. So
Very good. Way to go. Little innovation, a little fun.
yeah,
Hope people are coming in, checking. Now, did you incorporate the Dewey Decimal System into the
no,
library, or when you're three
no.
shelves, I guess you can just, oh, it's over there, right?
Yeah, and it's very, very informal. So we have if it's just honor system. You don't have to have a membership. If you just
Okay.
come in and sign up, I mean, just sign that, put your name and phone number that you checked it out. And then we're asking if you could bring it back in 2 weeks. That would be great. But I don't have time to go hunting after people, and I didn't want the
Right.
staff to worry
Right.
about it. So
Uh,
we said
um,
we're going to keep it very, very low key, but in the spirit of sharing with one another.
I like it. I like it a lot. I talked about earlier. You're an active listing agent.
Yes.
I looked at your listings, right? But what I was
Uh-oh.
looking for in particular was
Mhm,
what were the tools that you used? And as an example, you've got I think Lucky Street in San Francisco,
mhm,
right? As an active listing right now. And I went and looked at the photographs for it, and sure enough, there's a Kubicasa floor plan in
mhm.
there.
Yep.
Kubicasa being one of our vendors that offers a free two-dimensional I make sure I clarify two-dimensional drawing of that you use an app, a phone app for to walk around the house, and you then send that to Kubicasa and they send you back a PDF of the floor plan. Um,
Mhm,
How's that working out for you? And what are some other tools that you as a listing agent, it's part of your checklist
mhm,
of tools from the MLS toolkit. And while you're talking about it, you had asked me to put up a slide. And so,
mhm.
I have to give credit to where credit is due. This is a Michelle and Fernando project.
I
Uh,
love this slide, by the way, Fernando and Michelle. You guys did great.
um,
Um, yeah,
so
based on Game of Life, right?
yeah.
Which is so
Cor-
appropriate for us.
Correct.
Yeah. So, yeah, so in terms of keeping, so as you mentioned, I am a listing, I'm not just a listing agent, I actually am a buyer. I represent both sellers and buyers.
Mhm.
I'm still very active in the market. So, I'm on MLS all the time, as I'm sure many of us here are. One of the things, the first thing you mentioned is Cubic Casa, which I love. It's a floor plan generator. You could do it with your phone. It works for definitely for listings, for marketing is a great, it's a great tool because when you have buyers come through, you want them to come in and think about the space and how are they going to use it. And being able to have a floor plan ready for you is great. I actually use it for my buyer clients as well. So after we do a walkthrough, if I know that they're really interested, I can help provide them a floor plan and if we get into contract and they're going to buy the house, even more so, I can provide them a floor plan, and that gives them a good idea of if they want to do any renovations or where they can put their furniture, and they really appreciate that. And I love being able to provide that as well. And that never goes out to anywhere. It's just something that I provide to my clients. Another one a big one that we've been talking about recently is Ad Builder.
Yeah.
So that's after entering a listing, and then it's a really fast and easy way to set up for social media advertising. And I love doing that because you can, we're always talking about, you want to be online, you want to get the exposure for your clients. So as far as it makes it really easy. Literally, all you have to do is, once you're ready to submit, it pops up, it already designs it for you, and you can pick a track of how you want it to go, through the life of a listing, or
Right.
if you want to do pick and choose. And so I love being able to do that. And then I can share with my sellers that I am on social media,
Yep.
that I'm still working. I also, because it's so important now, we've talked about that online interview, right? The online resume that we have. So it's part of that as well, that people know that you're active in the business. And the cost is pretty reasonable for it, but it's really nice to have that there. I do use as well aligned showings. Is it here? So here it has the whole metric of all the different categories, whether prospecting, marketing, helping your clients, property found, closing, and keeping it going. So in the process of that, aligned showings that we have that has to do with helping. It's kind of like trying to remember anyway, there are some other programs out there for being able to schedule showings. Some people say, well, if the property is vacant, maybe we don't need it so much. It was really useful during COVID when you have a showings request that comes through. It's also really good if you have sellers or tenants still in the property so that they, and you need to have people set appointments, or if you just like to keep track of having what kind of activities there, even though we
Right.
may have like a super report or things like that. So I've found that to be really helpful. I've also actually do use the Aculus disclosures tool. I know that people are comfortable with other disclosures, software, but this is nice because this belongs to MLS, and it's still in process and getting better and better. I believe we're developing more features like offer submission on there,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so it's really cool to be able to have that all integrated with MLS as well.
Well,
Um,
and at no
s-
additional cost, right? These are,
and
yeah,
at no
those are
additional
free.
cost.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So that's cool. I can't not talk about Aculus, the market reports, because I love those. And kudos to Michelle and yeah, everybody involved in that, because the Aculus market reports are really great to be able to generate reports for different areas. I do use them for my open houses so that I have a
Sure.
market update for the area. I use them for the because I do seminars, so I'll do a market update, and it's really easy to pull in information for, say, San Mateo County or for Millbrae. I've used them on listing presentations as well because they come out really nicely formatted with customized with my information. So, so that's been great. And then with farming, or if you're into farming or door knocking, sometimes. Or I've been doing where with my listings, I'll door knock for open house, invite people to the open houses.
Right.
And it's nice to have a sheet that's already ready for you in terms of being able to have the market data available. So I don't know if I'm talking too much, but
No, not at
as you can
all.
tell, I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff that we offer. And again, this is all included in our MLS. It's all included with MLS, which I love being able to do that. I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is how to support our subscribers, because there have been a lot of changes along the way. And being able to help support our subscribers by offering more, but not increasing the price, right? And
Right.
not having to do a fee. And each of the things that I've talked about, if we were to pay for that individually, it could add up to quite a bit. So I love the fact that we are trying to support our membership as much as possible.
And I think that the vendors that are coming to us, Gene, um, they'd love us to do a seat license, right? Pay everything up front for a number of seats, and we take on a risk of a product that we don't know what the adoption is going to be. Yourself, Dave Wetzel, probably the other members of the executive committee, have been really good about having good negotiations with these vendors to share the risk is what it is, right? And I mean, Dave is proud. I'm proud of being able to say we haven't done a fee increase in 8 years.
Yeah.
There are reasons why, but we've for it. But all along in those 8 years, we've continued to build out the toolkit. It
Mhm.
continues to get larger, and that's not only and it's sort of it gets larger for the name brands, right? The big logos we all know in the industry, but it's the build out for that person who's that one person shop working off their kitchen table and the passenger seat of their car, and they've
Mhm.
got all the tools that can be used to compete at the big level.
Definitely. And I think it helps. Like I was going to mention that, I love our staff, obviously, and I love our board as well. And we do have, board members from all across the five counties, as well as the larger brokers and smaller brokers, medium-sized brokers. And so we get a lot of feedback from, everyone in terms of what is the need out there? How can we make it better for our membership? And so I love that we're able to get that perspective. And, for me, I'm very hands-on in MLS. That is actually one of the questions that we ask all our board members is what is their level of interaction with the MLS? Because we think it's really important that we continue to support that. It's great that we are one of the MLSs. I don't remember how many are like that, but not every MLS has their own tech team, right?
Right.
And so if you need to make any changes, you need to ask the tech team to do it, and they'll do it for you depending on their priorities or not. We don't have that problem as much. So I mean, we do have some licenses softwares that we work with, but it's really, great to be able to say, when we need a change, we're ready to, we can do a lot of that in-house. So
Right.
that helps as well.
And for Tom DeRezzo, who's here with us today as our director of product management, it gives Tom and his team that ability to do that build versus buy analysis, right?
Totally.
Because we do have the build option, but we got a lot of projects as well. We've
Mhm.
got a very full schedule over in that build world kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But Tom, you're always on the lookout for that next tool kind of thing. But then also doing the analysis as well of do we already have it? Can we build from the inside? I think AI is probably a good example there, Tom, of where you've been able to, with an inside skill level, build AI right into the toolkit now.
Right. Yeah. So it's in listing management. It can help with creating that property description based on the amenities that have been outlined in the listing. It will draft for you a property description, and then you're free to edit it. You're free to delete it and try a different one. So there are lots of ways that you can use that.
We just did in fact, Alicia just put it in the chat area, the smart draft capability, right? That's AI built into listing management.
It is. So it goes back and for a given property, will pull forward fields from, we are pull from Realist, but then we also pull from prior listings as well.
Right.
And
Then
I have to say, I love that feature. So,
oh, cool.
I mean, literally the first time that it came up for me, because that's actually how, especially when I was newer, that's how I would start out my listings when I'm starting to input it. I would go back to all the old listings and figure out what they wrote and what they put in. And then, of course, I need to make sure it's accurate, but I love having that as a touch point and having that done like that. I love that feature. So sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but
No,
I
no,
really
no.
love
No,
that
that's
part of it.
great.
Saves
Yeah.
a lot of time for sure. So if people haven't used it, really encourage you to do so.
And Tom, even though we make additions like that to our software, it doesn't stop there. I know you're already planning sort of for the next version of the AI remarks. Yeah,
Right.
what will take place there? I know I can't. I'd love to say when will it take place. I can't say. I can't ask that question. But what will take place? What do you anticipate?
Well, I think there are a couple of different directions we can go. One is that the agent can say, I really want to highlight the fact that this has a wonderful view. So it may not be something that's specifically in the listing itself, but we can sort of prompt the AI to feature specific things about the property that the agent wants to highlight.
Got it.
Um, and then the other thing is the ability to add tone. So, do you want it to be humorous or sassy or informative? So you can give a tone to uh, anything that you write
Right.
in AI. Yeah.
Sassy. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
first times I've heard the word sassy in an MLS meeting session before,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
I mean, maybe not a good idea, but you could test it out.
You
And
never
again,
know.
you always have the ability to edit. Yeah.
Right.
Make sure to check out our pro support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.